I don't know, it's looking all right. Need to wipe this thing down. Get some gloves on. Hey! And I'm glad you guys came by. It's a big day. Or night. We're gonna paint this thing British Racing Green. And with any luck, I'm gonna need it. It'll turn out all right. Something Ralph can drive around in and be proud of and go, look at my car. Who did that? Junks Automotive did that. That's what we want. We've done all the body work. Spent 2 years working on this thing. It's been here for almost just a little shy of 2 years. We've done the body work, had the body off the frame, painted the frame, redid the rear suspension, the front suspension, transmission, differential, and that engine that's been rebuilt for 50 years. We got it cleaned up, inspected, and had it running. I'll put the playlist up here so you can go back and check it out if you're a guy's not following all the time. So, step by step, I'm going to show you every single little thing I do, and if something's wrong, you're going to know what it is. So go ahead and comment right now. Don't do it, it's too hot. We got to get this thing done. Let's get to work. Gloves. Every little step. Now, I should have been wearing these gloves probably the whole time I did all this body work and stuff, but I hate these. I hate these, but I'm gonna use them this time because, again, we've washed this car, we sanded it, washed it, wiped it down. We're gonna wipe it down 2 more times. We're gonna start with the Windex, brand new microfiber cloth. I want to get down inside all the little edges that might have some goo left, and I've sweat on this car, you know, wipe it all down. And then wipe it down again with something else. So let me get that done, and I'll show you more. Just want to let you know, I'm not soaking it down with the Windex, right? I'm just spritzing it. I don't want to get a bunch of Windex down inside the cracks and crevices where it may not dry out and cause me a problem, but I want to get the surface clean. So the big white stripe of goo right there, there's a bug. I just want to get the surface clean from any kind of oil residue from my sweat. Now, there could have been mice crawling on this thing while I wasn't watching. Just wanted you to know that. Get inside these crevices with my rag and make sure there's nothing loose in there. It's going to blow up in my paint. Done with the Windex. All around the car, all around the edges really good. Got a little sweaty, so I went inside and chilled out. I don't want to drip on the car. Ooh. Next step. It's rubbing alcohol. That's all it is. The reason is, I don't want to use wax and grease remover or that Prep-All stuff. Somebody had commented, and I forget his name, but it was made a really good point. Anything that's porous, you don't want to use that on anything that's porous. This is that super thick primer. We have bare Bondo here and there, which I could have fixed, but we'll get onto that in a minute. If it absorbs it, it takes longer for it to come out, especially wax and grease remover. It doesn't like dry out real fast. So this will dry out really fast. It's going to clean anything else, any kind of anything. I'm going to use wipe-alls. I'll try to show you these are lint-free medical and food grade paper towels. It's not the kitchen type. Some of this stuff I've learned from my friend Pete. So we're just going to use our alcohol. The funny thing is, I went to the dollar store looking for it and I found 50%. What's in the other 50%? It doesn't say, so I'm worried to using it. Could be just water. But I looked in the bathroom cabinet and found this. Normally, the wife would be mad. Yeah, I could replace it. She still wouldn't be happy about that. But funny thing is, it's expired. I'm okay, boys and girls. Expired. So all I'm going to do, I'm not going to dump it all over the car. Just put a little bit in my towel. And wipe it off. We're going to make it wet, not puddling, just make it wet, and you'll see how fast that stuff dries. Now, see the dirt? That's what we want to get rid of. I keep rotating my towels until they get all used up. Now I don't need to get in the edges, and I really don't want to, because this has a possibility of loosening up the adhesives on my masking tape. Some of you might have caught it. I forgot my gloves. I hate these things. Dig my shirt. Cold War Motors. Check them out on the YouTube, and when you do, leave them a comment. Make sure you tell them Junks Automotive sent you. Good guys. I didn't even use that much. I think I can put that back and act like I never saw it. I'm going to let this dry. It's already dry, but the Windex and all that, I'm going to let it sit good 30 minutes, 35 minutes before I do a first coat of, I'll tell you in a minute. One more thing that I forgot to do, your hose. Wipe that thing off. This hose has been running around doing all kinds of whatever. We need to get, you know, any kind of loose crud on it. Now, theoretically, it's not going to touch the car, but I want any kind of loose crap off of it. It's going to go over my arms and over my back while I'm spraying. I don't want something, stupid little flake of something to come off and go, you know, right in my paint. One other thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to wet this floor down. Got a bucket of water. I don't want to dump it all over the car, obviously. That's going to do a couple things for me. It's going to help seal our edges around the booth, which I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. It's going to keep the dust down, and it's also going to discharge the floor of any kind of, well, charging. A car off the ground like this, the air has a little bit of a charge, the car has its own charge, and the ground has, you know, it's probably ground, right? So you get dust in the air, what'll happen is it's going to try to find ground or positive, whatever happens to be the deal. First coat of something. Epoxy Sealer. I said a few minutes ago how there's bare metal spots, bare body filler. It says primer and all that. If it's got a hardener, Well, this is epoxy hardener. So we're going to use this as a sealer. We're going to do a quick light coat, hopefully enough to cover, and just do the one coat. Light coat, that way the reducer I'm going to put in this doesn't get inside and lift anything or anything like that. I use my handy little trick though. That's one of those hole auger outers for wood. It's got a big point on it. I just ground it off with my bench grinder and yep, stirs that stuff right up because the sediment goes on the bottom, gets real super thick. So we got to have it stirred really good. And hopefully, like I said, we're going to use one coat of this. I'm going to use, did figure out this was my primer gun. It's what I've used the whole time doing all the inner panels. And it'll throw the stuff on there, boy. We're going to go ahead and use that for this, and I believe this is a 1.7 tip, 1.7 millimeter. So a little bit of a bigger tip. And that's why it is just, you know, if I wasn't careful, I put too much clear on. But our base coat, we might even go base coat a little bit with this one. But our clear coat, we're going with this one. Same gun, smaller tip, 1.3 millimeter. So this mixes 1 to 1, and I'm going to use a little bit of reducer. So 1 part sealer, This video is going to be a little long and drawn out, but I know a lot of you guys shake your hardener really good. It separates too. A lot of you guys want to know this stuff. You want to know the step by step. We got 1 part sealer. I'm going to do 1 part hardener, and probably less than a half a part of reducer. This is the urethane reducer. This is urethane based epoxy. Epoxy means 2 parts. And this is the same company makes this reducer. We're going to go with that. 1 to 1.5 of the sealer. "10 to 15 minutes between coats. Hopefully I can get her done in just one. I don't want a bunch of thick stuff on there unless I just don't have a choice. Better chance of orange peel, runs, sags, all the stuff that I'm really good at getting. And once it's mixed like that, it will last for 4 hours. So now that I'm starting to get sweaty, I'm going to throw this in the pot, go get dried off. I'll get you guys in the booth with me. I'm going to put a plastic bag over your head, but there's holes so that you can still breathe. Try to protect my old camera there. I don't want to buy a new one just yet. Always use a filter. Filter. It's not so much of blowing stuff into your paint and onto your job. I don't want to get it stuck in the gun and give me a funny pattern. Now or never, I suppose. I'm going to start the front. Sorry about that. The intake air is in the front, so I'm going to start the front, work my way back. my best. By the way, intake fans, hillbilly air conditioning, there's a whole bunch of ice in there. Okay, it's ice water now, but it's a lot cooler in there. Just in case. Well, Jiminy Christmas. There we go. Inside latch latched. First coat, Epoxy Sealer. I'm good with that. Had a little bit of trouble. I can see a little bit of orange peel left right there, but it was bad. It just, I don't know what happened. I did talk to my good buddy Bill Andrews, who was in a video showing us his black MGA, and Ralph was with us and all that. We had a visit. I texted him and I said, dude, I'm getting ready to paint this car. I didn't ask him for advice, but the one thing he said was take your time. I said, yeah, getting impatient is what always bites me with these kind of things. And there's some stripey. I'm good. We're good. We're done. We're done with the epoxy. Basically, 2 very light coats, and this fender is extra protected. You can still kind of see it a little bit. There's a spot right there. We're done. We're going to leave that alone. I might even let it sit just a little bit longer because it looked horrible and now it's almost gone. So Bill, thanks for that advice, buddy. Let's get ready to put some green on this thing. Back at the mixing table. It's our usual English racing green base coat. Now, I was a little worried that this 3/4 of a gallon was not going to paint the car. It probably would have been fine, but I went ahead and bought another quart setup. Since these are different batches, if I was to paint most of the car with this and say the last coat with that, it could look blotchy because they may not match. That's good. There's no settlement on the bottom, but what I need to do is this right here. I want to mix them together so that way they're all one color. I know I'm sounding like I'm some expert painter and I'm not, but I know that's a thing. If they're made in different batches, you buy 2 gallons, you're gonna paint something and paint away. Those 2 gallons are not going to be exactly the same. Now, at least this way, my 2 batches of paint are going to be the same shade. They'll be mixed. Well, you know, like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not really good at painting. I paint cars to get by when I have to. And I like to learn, I like the challenge. So let's keep my chances better than not better. Just, you guys tell me what you think down there in that comment section down there. All right, and this mixes, if I believe I'm correct, 2 parts base coat, 1 part reducer, optional 2 quarts, add 2 ounces per quart of hardener. I'm not going to add the hardener. If it was really cold, the hardener is going to help it set up. It's not really cold. It's really hot. And so this time, I promise, very quick light coat and get out. Sort of a tack coat thing. All right. First coat, British Racing Green. Nice and light. Fast coat. It's already set up. About 10 minutes. We're gonna grab another layer. All right, second coat, British Racing Green. A couple little things that I want to nib out. You see that? There's got some orange feel to it, which I'm not too worried about. You know, and places like that. See that? I'm going to attempt to show you how I'm going to fix that, or at least you know, I think we could bury this and clear, but if we could maybe just knock it down, the tops of it off just a little bit, it'll save us a little bit of time down the road. So I have 1000 grit wet sandpaper and a very large tongue depressor. But all I want to do, I'm going to use the water, but I don't want to use too much water, because for obvious reasons, Now I know you guys are probably not going to be able to see this. But I have a wipe all. And you might be able to see it now. This gives me a chance since this is just our second coat, straighten this out best we can. Make our lives a little bit easier when we go to color, sand, and buff this. Latch disengaged. I did put a hinge up there, just a little weeny one, so it just kind of opens up, and there you go. You gotta kind of scooch in. Oh. Ow. Now Ralph and my wife both think that doesn't look green, but with the cell phone and the haze, I can understand. That's base coat done. I got a couple little nicks right here. They're green. That's okay. It's set for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna let it sit for another 20 before we put any clear coat on it. It's still looking a little shiny. And again, I learned doing that dashboard just because it's done being tacked up, and you think, well, I can start throwing stuff on it. Wrong. My buddy Bill said, take your time. I'm going to take my time and give it time and wait longer. But it really is looking pretty good. Just for base coat and no clear. I did learn when I painted my Cadillac, the nicest places on that car were the places I couldn't see because I mechanically overlapped without being able to see. But we're learning. Every time you paint something, you learn something. Mix in the clear coats. Got the clear coat gun. I did put a little reducer. It's been a long time since I've used this. 1.3 tip. I probably should have went with this for the whole project, but you know, I need to find a thingamajig. Anyway, I noticed when I mix 1 cup, it doesn't do the whole car. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix 2 cups. So that way when I run out, run in here, grab the other one, get the clear coats. I don't think it's the best in the world. Seems to be okay. This mixes. Get my eyes straightened out enough. 4 parts clear coat, 1 part activator. Reducer reducer optional. I don't know about the reducer thing. Four parts. It gets late like this and I get tired, I can't see nada. Four parts. Really, I don't want dry places from where I stopped spraying clear coat to where I started again. Which, let's face it, it's probably going to happen. All right. Everything before I kind of had a smaller pattern and spray pattern, I would go over at 50%. This is going to be the same 50% except for my pattern is going to be bigger. Smaller tip, smaller droplets of clear, of material. So it atomizes and lays down better. Of course, this first coat, I'm going to go really fast. Sort of a tack coat ish. We'll go ahead and dump a little more in here, and I might be able to get the whole car going faster. Always use a filter. See, I see little chunks of stuff. All right. Outside latch disengaged. Okay. You guys get tired of that pretty quick, won't you? First coat of clear coat. Very light, very fast, thin. There's some orange peel going on, but it's a little patchy. I did add a light over here so I can see. Getting ready to get the second coat on, and farther we go, the thicker and heavier I'm going to layer to her. Yeah, it's pretty patchy, but that's okay. I'm not going to freak out. We're just going to go with it. But actually, it's shiny now. Yeah, these patches where I can't see. So now I should be able to slick her out. Second coat coming up. Well, that's after second coat of the clear coats. There's some dry spots. So I kind of walk around, find my dry spots and my problem areas. It's coming there. And the floor's all green. Hey kids, how you doing? It's the next day. It's up till 4 in the morning, 4:30. We got four full wet coats of clear. So keep in mind, it's not perfect, but it's fixable. Before I show you this thing, I want to give you a couple shots of what it looked like when it came here.
I don't think you what you're talking about even matters to me. I'm a bastard. I'm only thinking about myself. I'm a bastard. Yeah, it's all about me and nobody else. I don't think you have a clue. I only do what I want to when I want to. I want to do it my way. And I don't think you know me like I know me. 'Cause I know me and I know I ain't gonna change. No way. I'm a bastard.
Yeah, I got some dryness around the front.
I could be different, but
And we have some stuff. There's a sag. You can see it, and we'll show you how to fix that.
I'm only thinking about me, myself, and
Really, pretty fair.
me, myself.
Dryness in the back, and the dryness is from the sides that I couldn't see as well. So, any kind of advice that I can give you, get plenty of light. So, you know, it's all fixable. Some dryness up there. It's all fixable. If we need to sand her all down and re-clear it, that's what we'll do. But I don't think we'll have to. A lot of wet sanding and buffing. Orange peely on this side. It's just, you know, hey, it is what it is. A little bit of junk in it, you can see it. It'll come around. But it's definitely green. Well, so there you have it. You know? So really this car's been here for 2 years, just less than 2 years. A year and 11 months, like that. But 8 months ago, actually less than 8 months ago, we started doing the body work. So for a production shop, a body shop, that's too long. But for a guy in his barn on every Saturday night that he could, that's not bad. I'm not an expert at any of this, but the biggest thing I want you to take from it is that you can do it too. You don't have to be an expert. This is only the third big object I've spray painted. Every time it gets better and better. The next job would be better. If I ever paint, yeah, I'll paint another car. But hey, just know that you can do it too. It doesn't take brains because I'm proving it to you. We're going to see you again next week. We're going to start correcting some of this stuff. Junk out.